What's going on? How y'all doing out there? Hopefully I got this right. I'm gonna just call you Ruth Parker. How you doing out there? And I see the Shopia. Am I saying that right? Let me know if I'm saying that right. And very special shout out to the people who were rocking with me on TikTok before we got started. I see Joey, and I'm gonna just call you DayQ. Let me know where you're calling from. Welcome on into the 411 podcast tonight. We have special guest tonight, Mr. Ian West. It's Tuesday, y'all, and it is March 1st. Can't believe it, but March is here. We are moving along. Next thing you know, it's going to be Easter real soon, right before we know it. I know St. Patrick's Day and all that, but really, before you know it, trust and believe that Easter's going to be creeping up out of nowhere. Close, so I didn't say it right. Dash Opia. What was I saying? Dash Opia from Connecticut. Welcome on in, welcome in. So I appreciate the comments because as I was going through, I saw some comments on Facebook. I want to say thank you so much. Somebody mentioned something about they like the uptick in the artists that we have coming on. So that was good. TikTok, as I start to shuffle through some of the comments, I see some people leaving some real deep comments on there as well on some posts. So I appreciate you for that. And of course, Instagram. So many people show love on Instagram, and I appreciate y'all. Again, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, D Live, and Twitch. Go ahead and drop it in the comments, like, comment, tag your friends, invite them on into the 411. What's going on, Miss Bethany? How you doing? All the way from California. So I want to get right on into the song of the day. This is for the lovers out there. So come around me, Justin Bieber. What's going on? How you doing? Adam from Arizona. So come around me, Justin Bieber. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Justin. But I'd love to change his album, and it's really for the lovers, I believe. So if you in love and you celebrating, just like Justin Bieber's probably celebrating today, um, yeah. Song of the day, Come Around Me. So when I think about the lyrics from this song, so dope. I love it. So let's not miss out on each other. All I want for you is perfection. So I want perfection for you. So that means that I gotta, keep my game up. I gotta be on point so that when we get together, I'm giving you all of me. I'm giving you me. I'm giving you nothing but perfection. So that's real deep. And you know, let's get it in expeditiously. Let's not wait. you know, let's not wait. We already know what's gonna go down. We already understand the situation. Check this part out. Pull me down aggressively. So for those of you who know exactly what this song is about, and you know that when you get around somebody, it's nothing but magic, it's nothing but fire. Come around me, Justin Bieber. And I know somebody that looks like Justin Bieber too. So shout out to you. It's not really your birthday today, but you look just like him. Happy birthday, Justin Bieber. So last night was crazy, crazy in so many ways. I had my friend Gina Smith come in from Camden, New Jersey, and she has a company called Gina's Events of Love. But you need to go ahead and watch the replay because somebody in the background did not appreciate the conversation that we were having, and they chimed in on it, and it got a little interesting halfway through the show. But Gina definitely gave us some real life situations, what goes on, and I love speaking to her, and she keeps it real. So um, every time she comes on, there's something exciting that happens. So something exciting happened last night, and the last time that she came on, we were banned from TikTok for her just being herself, speaking freely how she speaks. So yeah, I want to give a very special shout out to Gina from Camden, New Jersey, my home state, New Jersey is in the house. Jason T. Davis from California, and Daisy. She has a business called $5 Jewelry Queen. She's going to come on the Phone One podcast this week, so you will be able to find out about her jewelry and how you can get the $5 hookup. Shout out to Daisy. Also, Mr. Alex Coquito from Puerto Rico. That is Coquito. I am a co host on his new show called Midnight Vibes, which airs every Saturday at 11 p.m. I almost said Friday. Every Saturday at 11 p.m. And it's midnight over in Puerto Rico. So catch us on some midnight vibe stuff. And it's a little crazy, out of control, crazy topics. And that's on his YouTube channel. And that is Coquito. Also, Nordia from Shea Heaven. Thank you so much for Shayla Jules, fellow Mary J. Blige fan, Curvy Dolls Boutique. Y'all go ahead and check out her out on Instagram. She has lots of great clothing in that boutique. Um, Danny from My Survivor Voice podcast. Check her out, fellow podcaster. Always supporting, always coming through. Definitely appreciate you. Miss Carol Cordero. I'm not sure if you're out there, but Miss Carol from Florida, I appreciate you for all of your love and support. And of course, Bethany, I see you out there. Thank you so much for your kind words of encouragement. Keep posting the things that you post. You help people in so many different ways with funny different memes, and sometimes you speak the truth on some of those things. Um, Miss Bethany out there from California, and Mr. Hazard, aka Paper Chasing Mel. Thank you for supporting on Facebook and Instagram as well. So now, that was a whole mouthful that I had to get out. I just want to say thank you all. I appreciate you. So now, let's rewind this thing a little bit. We talked about keeping it real. And when you keep it real, sometimes people may not like it. And it might come down to you actually hurting people's feelings because you are keeping it too real. So, how do you avoid hurting people's feelings when it's people that are, you want to speak the truth? And sometimes, when I was growing up, I was always told that the truth hurts. So, are you a type of person who will try to avoid hurting people's feelings when you're having those conversations? Or do you just go right on in? I will tell you a little bit about myself. Like, when it comes to the people I love, like my children and, people that are real close to me, I'm going to tell it to you like it is, and you may not like it. And I will give you that little disclaimer. You may not like the situation, but this is life and this is real, and this is what happens. So it is what it is. The Shopia says, truth hurts. And yeah, I mean, I think if you tiptoe around it and you BS and you give people the fake version or the watered down version, you're not giving it to them the real way. And I'll tell you, a lot of people out there don't care for Laren. I'll tell you that because when we get into it, when we get into the thick of it and we going back and forth and we having a situation, I wasn't sugarcoating anything. If anything, the Sagittarius that I am is really gonna tell you how I feel straight up. So I don't mean to come off like that, but that's the way that I know how to do it. Sorry, I can't help it. I ain't sugarcoating anything because if I do that, then that means that I'm giving you another opportunity to dance around the situation a little bit. We ain't got no time for dancing, not at all. Hmm. So, do you try to avoid hurting people's feelings when you tell them the truth, or do you just keep it real? What's going on, Knox? I'm gonna call you Knox. How are you doing out there? So now, talk about hurting people's feelings. We talk about speaking the truth. Sometimes it can be just very intentional. So I'm going to be very intentional. When I speak the truth to you, I'm going to make sure that I go in with an agenda. We're going to knock it out the box. We're going to get this over with. So, intentional, when you're basically doing something on purpose, you're going in there with a deliberate, straight up purpose to handle whatever situation it is. You're doing it intentional. So, I want to ask you all, is there anything in your life today, maybe even tomorrow, when you wake up tomorrow, you're going to be very intentional about something? You're going to stop playing the games. You're going to stop dancing around the situation. You're going to stop tiptoeing around the situation. You're just going to be very intentional about what you're doing. Is that your business? Is that how you interact with your friends? Is it how you interact with your lover? Is it something that's going on your job? Are you going to be very intentional about conquering those goals that you need to conquer? Are you going to be very intentional about attacking and trying to conquer that new love? And I'm talking in a nice way, not an aggressive way. You know, are you going to be very intentional about breaking through and creating that new life? Are you going to be very intentional about just creating change altogether? Are you sick of the old you and you want to go ahead and bring in and usher in the new you? So, what are you being intentional about these days? I will tell you, for me, I'm being very intentional about my communication skills because no longer will I let things fester and stay on the inside with me. If I'm not feeling a certain way about something, I'm gonna have to come to you and I'm gonna speak to you like an adult because we both adults in this situation. And if you ain't feeling what I got to say and you don't understand what I have to say, then so be it. But at least I try my best to come here and speak to you like an adult. That's basically what I got going on today. So that's what I'm being intentional about. Every single thing that I touch and every single thing that I do when it comes to my business and who I am, I'm being very intentional about it. And if you ain't down for the ride, you're not down for the ride. I mean, it's okay. It's cool. Somebody else might be. So, Dystopia says intentionally about self growth and healing past traumas. Let's talk about the past traumas. Oh my goodness, we talk about traumas, we talked about drama, and Friday we're going to finish up about healing through some past dramatic and traumatic situations. Like, cool, that shapes us, that helps us become who we are, but it doesn't have to stay with us each and every day. So you play that record for a little bit, but then you hurry up and you take it off and you put something else on. Those are tools. So the things that we've been through in the past, that drama and that trauma, that is a tool to help us get to the next level. But now you got to learn how to use it. You got to know how to go into beast mode when you need to play that record that reminds you of where, I'm trying not to go there, but where the F you came from. Oh, yeah, like something going on or at your job, something going on, around your circle of friends, and these people might be backstabbing and something ain't right. You might need to go home. You might need to go home. You might need to get that record. You might need to remember when you were dead ass broke. You might need to remember when people was turning their back on you. You might need to play that record. Yeah, you might need to. This is when it comes to the tools that you have. And then once you play it and you get it and you understand, you'll be like, all right, that's where we were. Now this is where we're going. And then you go in there and you go in beast mode the next day because you had to, have a little bit of reminiscing. You needed to be reminded about the stuff that you've been through. See, when you know what you've been through, you kind of know where you're going. And when I say you know where you're going, because you'll be able to see and be able to separate the bullshit from the truth and be able to start to say, nah, we ain't doing this. And I saw you before, but when I saw you before, I wasn't able to speak up like an adult and tell you how I feel. But today, I can tell you how I feel. And I'm not feeling this right now. So what's it going to be? It's going to be either A or is it going to be B? Because we can't continue to keep playing this game. Mm-mm. Use those things, use those dramatic situations as the tools that they are, but don't abuse them. And when I say abuse them, that's sitting there playing the same sad record over and over and over and over again, keeping yourself stuck. Because when you abuse those tools, you're not going to be able to use it as the power that it needs to help you get to the next level. Trust and believe that these tools are used to help create this 411 podcast and help continue to spread, the message out to each and every single person. And I know some people be like, oh, damn, like, he's stuck. He stays stuck a little bit. Nah, we just got to go back a little bit. Trust and believe. I'm thankful every single day that I'm where I'm at today and that I'm not stuck. But I might have to do a little bit at nighttime here to give y'all so that y'all can understand and feel where I'm coming from so that we all can get a good understanding and know where we're going. Mm. Be intentional about what you got going on in your life. Because if you ain't intentional, you're going to go ahead and allow somebody else to shape and mold you like some silly putty. And there ain't nothing silly about this situation going on right now. We straight up adults and we real about this situation. Now, there was some growth. There was some growth overnight, y'all. All right, y'all. So we have recording artist Mr. Ian West coming in the building tonight. Let's see what he is intentional about in his life. He got a lot of great things going on. Let's find out what's happening.
Hello.
What's going on? How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Larry? I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. I need to, bring it down a little bit. I got a little amped up earlier in the show, but I'm all right.
Oh, okay.
I told you, like, just the emotions been running high lately, between the bullshit that's going on in the world, just life in general. I'm in a emotional state right now. I don't understand what
Okay.
it is, but there's messages and there's things that have to get out to people. So
Sure. Okay.
it is what it is. So I want to know, what are you being intentional about these days when it comes to your life?
Um. Well, I mean, it's funny you kind of mentioned that. I think I've kind of the past few months really have kind of been trying to just kind of get things back to basics. Really, kind of focus more on mental and physical wellness, and
Mm,
yeah, trying to get to a simpler, trying to simplify things. Um, just for because that's what needs to be done, but also to try to kind of maybe spur things in a creative kind of way as well.
okay, you said some great things here, and I don't want to lose these key words that you said, but you said get things back to basic. Were things sort of just, and I'm just reflecting from myself too, so please don't take it as if I'm saying anything with you, because I'm taking these words and I'm applying it to myself and trying to tell a
Mm-hmm.
story here. So was it that some things were sort of just all over the place and you had a lot going on, but you just didn't know how to sort it and make it work for you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely something that's been going on.
And did you ever get to a point where you felt as if you weren't running the business was running you?
Yeah, I'd say yeah, in a sense, definitely.
Mm. But let me tell you, once you get things situated, because I can understand where that comes from, once you get things situated and you get it lined up properly, what a great feeling when you realize that, nah, this thing doesn't control me, I control it.
Heck yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
That's got to be the goal, and I hope you've gotten to that point, and that's a place that I hope to get to as well soon.
Yeah, it's not easy because every time you get things under control, boom, there's, new growth. And with new growth, you got to start all over and you got to learn it again every single day.
Right.
And the game is over whenever you say it's over.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And when you just said that, that's a great point about and I think that's a big part for me too, is being aware and open to the growth as opposed to fighting it. And
Mm,
I've done a lot of fighting it for a while, and finally I just kind of had to take account of things and kind of go
that's
from there.
that's funny that you said that because during my quiet time, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm just throwing my hands up. I can't do anything else. I'm pulling it all over to you, and I'm just letting you do your thing. I ain't fighting. Whatever happens, happens. What doesn't happen, doesn't happen. But
Right.
yeah, I can't. That's real interesting. Now you said mental. you said two things that I'm real intrigued about. You said mental and you said physical. So
Hmm.
talk to me about some of those.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess it's, kind of, I guess, imagining, kind of really thinking where I want to be.
Mhm.
Um, and really, I would say with, because music is always, it's always there for me, and it's been there for me for a long time. But
Mhm.
more important than where I'm at, in terms of that, it's about, I guess, understanding again that if I'm not taking care of myself properly, and really giving myself the mental space,
Mhm.
um, then there's not going to be the creative spark is not going to be lit
Oh,
for me.
absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so true. If you are a creative being and you have been able to explore, it's one thing if you're a creative being and it's been shut off and it's been shut off for a while. It's hard to get that
Hmm.
thing started again. My
Yeah.
creative side was shut off for a while because I turned it over to corporate America and I was almost like a
Hmm.
robot. And then what was happening when this pandemic started and I had to sit at home and all of a sudden I had to sit with myself and then all of a sudden the creative got turned back on and the more I sat home the more that it got turned on and the more that I kept to myself the more that it got turned on and the more that I
Oh
got
wow.
around people it started to fade away again.
Hmm.
So that's very important to keep that mental space and keep that quiet time so that you can listen. We got to listen to what needs to be done.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great point. Where it really, uh, and it really is something that is really an inner process. Um, and you can't, no matter how supportive people are around you, you can't necessarily get it all from somebody else.
Mm,
So, like you
yeah.
said, allowing that time and going into yourself, even if it's a struggle, is a big part of it.
Remember, everything for people out there listening, everything starts with self. It really does. You have to just start with self. Once you start there, then you can go ahead and move towards others, but it's self first. Now, here's one thing that I struggle with because the temperature is not always pleasant here in the
Hmm.
Northeast, but you said physical.
Hmm.
In the wintertime, I struggle so bad.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. Honestly, it's kind of I'm kind of adjusting my diet a bit, but in
Mm,
terms of like I've never been, when I was you know a kid. I mean, I played sports all the time, and it was pretty just how I stayed,
hmm.
you know, active and in that kind of shape. But I'm not a guy who's really ever gone out of his way to work out very much. So um, it's I guess trying to it's very much a work in progress. Trying to get in the habit of being more physically active because that can also is good for you, but it can just generally help you stimulate your mind as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, you said changing your diet. So, how do you feel about these food shortages that are going on in this world? Prices and food shortages. Have you experienced any of that in your area?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say just generally here in Tennessee. I mean, I don't. I'm not sure what a number would be, but I'm sure we're probably paying at least 20% more, just generally for groceries.
And the question that I have to say is how and why? How and why? Like, the
Sure.
prices are not going to go down. Okay. And the last time
Right.
I checked, the job situation is the same. And the rate of pay is the same. Some places are going up. I will say there's some retail establishments and fast food establishments that are paying more than what they've ever paid before, but still. Um,
Yeah.
most people are not going to want to work at some of those places. I don't know why. Maybe it's a shift. Maybe a shift's going to change because I remember back in the day, it was cool to work at some of these fast food places, and those managers and stuff, they were making decent salaries. And then all of a sudden, people didn't run to those. They started to run to the retail establishments, excuse me. And maybe a shift is changing now. It's going to go back to people working at some of these fast food restaurants. I
Sure,
don't know,
yeah, yeah, I could see that.
but I still don't think it's enough. And
No, I mean, yeah, it's not. You know, the wealth gap has done nothing but get bigger. You know, during a pandemic. I mean, when you saw a pretty massive transfer of wealth go from the poor and working and middle class to the top, it's a problem that doesn't just seems to keep getting worse in this country, at least.
I never turn. This show is nothing but it's not political because I don't do that here. But the only thing that I have to say is that I remember that there was some dollars that were being thrown around because I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
say say it because it'll turn
Yeah,
into a political thing. But there were some dollars that were being thrown around in the beginning of this whole situation. What's going
sure.
on, honestly, vegan? And I'm sitting here thinking, all those dollars that were thrown around, sometimes people were wasting it. They were buying stupid stuff, clothes,
Mm-hmm.
jewelry, throwing it away. Now that the prices are the way they are and things are crazy, I bet some of you wish that you had that money back. And for the powers that be, why the hell you ain't throwing no money around now? But
Right.
anyway, we're gonna move off of that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I'm sure some people can use some assistance now, the way that this
For sure.
crazy mess is. So, Mr. Ian West, all the way from Tennessee. Now, what part of Tennessee are you from?
I live in Murfreesboro. It's like dead smack in the middle of the state, about 30 minutes from Nashville.
Now, every single time I talk to you, I'm going to ask you that because I will not remember. I just want to let you
Right. It's
know.
not a memorable town really. So
And of course, I told you every time I think of Tennessee, every time the famous song comes to my mind by Arrested Development.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Love to be in Tennessee, drive around blasting that song.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I need to try it again.
You've actually done that though with that song.
I feel like yeah, I used to like when I was a kid. I'm sure we bumped it once or twice when I was in high school.
So you have a new album out. I do remember from the last time we had our conversation, songs Ella won't dance to, and if I can remember properly, Ella is your daughter, and these are basically songs that she may not necessarily have played, but you have found a way to turn it to where she might like them now.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's kind of funny. I guess once I let's see, we recorded last almost a year ago, last March,
Hmm.
and then there's the process a couple months later going in to mix the record and then master it and stuff. So while all this is kind of going on, I'm getting kind of rough drafts and stuff, rough mixes to listen to, bring them home and put them on the stereo to see if there's anything we need to tweak.
Hmm.
And yeah, once I started doing that, she surprisingly was, kind of responded positively to some of the songs.
That's good.
So it kind of defeated the purpose of the title, but I kept it anyway. So
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, you have a song called Ego Deep.
yes,
Talk to us about that single.
yeah, I think so. It's the third song on the EP, and it's kind of really overall. I'd say the mood of the record is probably rock than anything,
Hmm.
maybe indie rock. But this song is kind of has a folk backing, um, kind of a rootsy type feel. But I guess it just kind of stands out for me lyrically. I think I was. It's kind of at a time when kind of what we were talking about before, being at like a in a kind of creative drought,
Mm.
and it kind of just like came out of nowhere. And it was one that was written, pretty quickly, like in a day, and just kind of poured out. So it's I think it's a pretty good picture of what I kind of my goal is to do, to try to kind of weave in between like a conscious and unconscious kind of lyricism, if that makes any sense.
Okay. So in like 10 words or less, how would you describe this record? If you had to sum it up like that.
I would say it's um,
Not
indie mountain rock.
exactly mountain rock. Hmm. Okay. That's an interesting combination. I'm not sure if
And
I've ever heard that now.
the what?
I'm not sure if I've ever heard that combination before.
Yeah, it's kind of, well. I'm originally from Asheville, North Carolina, so I'm from the mountains. So it's kind of that song in particular, "Ego Deep." I think is kind of Mountain Nursery's another one where I was kind of really trying to kind of like bring up memories, like childhood memories, and
Mm.
try to like capture how I'm perceiving that now
Mm.
in kind of a different, in a weird way.
Now, I did that recently. Um, P. Millard, let me make sure I get this right because I'm sure I'm going to stumble over this, but I'm just going to call you P. Mark says great EP.
Okay.
Great EP. So congratulations on that. And
Oh,
when was it released again?
it was released in November.
November. Okay.
Yeah.
Let us know where we can get it now, where we can follow you at, and all of that great stuff. And then I have some questions after that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. IanWestMusic.com is my website. You can find me on Instagram at Ian West Music. Also on Facebook, just look up Ian West Music. And the record is available on every streaming platform as far as I know. So Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Pandora, YouTube. You can find the record on there. Just look for Ian West.
Now, I have to tell you that this is an artist here, a recording artist. And when it comes to these streaming things and these streaming platforms, they have to do a lot of streams. And when I say a lot of
Oh,
streams, I mean a lot of streams. So if you
oh
really
yeah.
want to support, you really have to get into the music and listen to it over and over and over and over and over and over again. It doesn't that suck though that the days of buying CDs are just over and you have to play these games.
Oh, it really does. It's like I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, but yeah, it was a lot simpler 20 years ago, and well,
So
maybe before that, maybe before like Napster and stuff, but in the 90s,
so
80s,
are you
90s, it was a lot simpler.
are you able to make money nowadays, or is it basic like it is back in the day where yeah you make some money off of the CDs, but the real money is from live performances?
Yeah, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, honestly, I've made uh, very little in terms of streaming income.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really from live performances is where it's still kind of the bread and butter.
Crazy. So now people who are musicians and stuff, if you thought that it was, that you heard the term struggling musician, man, they're really struggling now. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a pretty wild time. I mean, I think it's generally certainly for artists of all kinds.
Mm.
Writers and poets and filmmakers and you know
Mm.
podcasters and everything else, all content creators. I mean, it's a whole new world. So it's
Yeah.
difficult to adjust at times.
Yeah, don't we know it? Don't we know it all? YRE hair growth, what's going on? Sexy in Seconds Boutique and all. Yeah, Sexy
No,
in Seconds Boutique. And then I got King K out there on TikTok. So for all of y'all that just joined, and let us know where you are calling from. We have Mr. Ian West coming in the building from Tennessee, talking about his new album, Songs Ella Won't Dance to. So, now, you said something a couple times when we are talking about this Ego Deep song. You were saying mountains. So now all I can think of is some crazy things when you're saying that you're from the mountains.
Mhm.
So I gotta go
Sure.
there. What is it like
Yeah.
living in the mountains now? When you say mountains, are you really talking about the mountains?
Yeah. I mean, so Asheville, where I'm from, is kind of a pretty standalone city. It's very liberal and
Mm.
kind of a bit of a not get political, but I mean, it's a very different. It's not the typical kind of city you're going to find in the South. A lot of street performers and things like that.
Oh,
Great, very cuisine from all over the world. You go to the little downtown area. There's all kinds of stuff. So
now see,
it's a little different.
you're making it sound nice because when you say mountains, I'm sorry, but I've watched too many movies, but I think that that's nothing nice to me, and it sounds like movies like Wrong Turn. Like,
Right.
do I really want to be driving in some of these areas by myself? But
Yeah.
so when I say
Yeah.
mountains, you see stuff like that? Have you seen stuff like that?
I mean, well, so I lived in Asheville for I think I was 5, and then we moved to a town called Fairview, just outside of Asheville, with my grandparents. And that really was more like once you get out of Asheville, I mean, it is like mountains. You're just kind of, you know, it's pretty rural. But
Mm.
I don't really remember encountering anything. I mean, again, I was a kid, but anything really that kind of would go along with like the kind of the stereotypical narrative. But
Well, hills.
I've certainly driven through places in Georgia and other parts of the South that that would apply to.
Hills have eyes, wrong turn, that type of stuff. Yeah, nah.
Oh yeah. I think some of those movies, what is it, The Descent too? I think maybe some of those movies were set like right in that area. So for some reason, there's a lot of fun horror kind of mythology about it.
Do you believe that there's any truth to some of those movies?
I think that was there's, it's kind of interesting. I mean, they're interesting ideas. The Hills Have Eyes, but the sound there's kind of it's a good premise. I think that's why it's so creepy, and it kind of just in the back of your mind, it's like, you never know. But I
Um,
would guess no, but
Speaking of the way that this world is nowadays, and it seems like everything that's on TV ends up, and I hate to say it this way, but coming into being into real life. I mean, we've seen it with certain movies, and guess what? Everybody's surprised. We had an opportunity to live it in real life. So
yeah,
I do believe that when some of these movies are put out, there's some truth behind it. Maybe not
mm,
everything, but I do believe that there's some truth behind
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think you could be onto something.
it. So now we're going to get into some burning questions here. So, for those of you who are watching, this is a segment show where basically I put my guests in a hot seat, but we've sort of toned it down a little bit. We haven't asked too many crazy questions. We're balancing things and going through this whole transformational journey. It's time to get some healing and get a better understanding, like I said, of where we're coming from. We know exactly where we're going. So that that chuckle. I don't know whether you're talking about mine or you're talking about my guest, but we both sort of got like a little chuckle. But I know exactly what you're talking about
Sure.
when I laugh a little bit if you're talking about me. But so burning questions here. So how effective are your communication skills towards the ones that you love?
Oh, not very. A lot of the time.
Okay, that's good to to be honest about it.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
that's something that was probably made pretty apparent years ago, and I think I've gotten better, but I still, can certainly have an issue at times. I would kind of, if there's an issue and I feel like I'm not really getting through, usually I'm just like, would rather just deal with it on my own.
I have to pause 1 second because I saw a comment that flipped my mind a little bit. Remember, I was
Hmm.
talking about, and we're going to get right on back to this. Remember, I was talking about how some of these movies, there's some truth to it. And I believe that we see it on TV first and then we live it out.
Oh yeah.
Prime example would be The Simpsons. Another prime
Mm.
example would be South Park. These are
Oh yeah.
two things that are speaking the truth if you read through them. I had no idea that The Simpsons had played a prediction of somebody becoming the president before he
Yeah.
became the president. You understand that part? You've seen that?
I do. I do. I've seen that, and I
That's
can't think of other examples, but I know they've kind of forecasted other things as well.
yeah, I did see a couple of those things. That's terrible. Now, people, if you watch these things and you see this, come on now. When you see that and you understand, why fall into the trap? Why fall into the trap of these games when you know full well that it's being set up? And then they got us going back and forth with each other over simple things when it's a setup. You already see it. But anyway, we're going to move past that.
Sure,
So,
sure.
you were talking about the communication skills towards the ones that you love, and you admitted that it's not where it needs to be. And I'll tell you that um, I agree. Because when you get into a situation, the ones that are closest to us, sometimes those are the ones who suffer the most. Like, we get paid to go to work and communicate properly, so we'll be the
Mhm.
best ones to go in and smile and communicate and do everything properly at work, and then we give it
Mhm.
all at work, or we give it all to our friends or whoever, and then when we come home, they get the leftovers, which I think is very unfortunate.
That's a great point. I mean, and that's I think something as well that I've have to realize over and over again. That it's like have to and I guess just being conscious of that at times is kind of the most important part. As opposed to like trying to force yourself to act a certain way. Just being
Mm.
aware of that kind of shortcoming can kind of help alleviate some of that. I think.
My communication used to be absolutely horrendous. Um, Now I'm going to tell you what would happen after I get home from work, dealing with the BS, dealing with the people. My communication would be absolutely zero. I would
Mm-hmm.
really have nothing to say to my family. And if you're not speaking, sometimes that's worse, and that could put people in a situation to make them feel uncomfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
there were some times where my own family was just uncomfortable to be around me because I was just in complete silence.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
maybe maybe sometimes in deep thought. Maybe sometimes I was pissed off at the situation that I was in, but you know, some people say it's a good thing to keep quiet rather than to blow up on
Right.
somebody else. But your
Right.
family can suffer when you're not engaging and asking those questions and going back and forth with those open-ended questions like you're supposed to in a loving situation. So
For sure. Yeah.
that was one side of me. So with that, now today my communication is on point with the loved ones. I try my best. I can still fall into being quiet because when I'm
Yeah.
not doing the podcasting and I'm not talking, and plus I talk so much here and I talk so much in other places, there could be some silent time. But I will tell
Right.
you that when I'm being stimulated, when the conversation is good, when we're speaking about something that's positive and uplifting, that's when you know um, the conversation is very engaging. But so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree completely. That's also a good point about trying to sometimes you just need to elevate the conversation a little bit, and that can really kind of break down a lot of barriers.
And for those who have missed some opportunities to communicate. And if you've ever been stuck where you want to communicate but you don't because you're nervous or you're scared or this or that, if you're scared, just do it and continue to do it when you're scared and when you're nervous. And then all of a sudden it will become, like clockwork. Because there are some
Mm,
people who are in relationships, in marriages, and because time has lapsed so far, you don't even know who you're with anymore.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So it can be kind of awkward when you're trying to communicate and learn that person over again. So if you want to
Hmm.
make it work, you're going to have to open up and you're going to have to do something. So when you're uncomfortable, that's exactly what you're going to have to do. And it gets better when you continue to work on something, just like anything. First time might be a little crappy, might be a little rusty, but if you keep working at it, you know it's going to get better.
Sure.
And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation, and I know you're in a loving marriage, family, everything's cool now, but I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where the communication was less than and it came to some form of maybe down talking, maybe
Hmm.
yelling. So
Yeah, yeah,
maybe a little aggressive tone. So if anything,
sure.
I avoid all of that. I avoid all of
Right.
those situations today. I'm more calm and more peaceful. And if there has to be a debate and we got to keep going back and forth, then this sort of conversation is not going to continue. And when you think
Right.
about the people that you love, you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to say anything in a negative manner. So that debatable stance and that aggressiveness for me today, that doesn't work for me. Been there, done that. Can't do it anymore.
There you go.
Mm. All right. Well, hopefully we didn't burn you up too much, and hopefully we didn't make you feel uncomfortable. We made some guests feel uncomfortable this week so far. So
No, that was pretty light. So yeah, not at all.
good, good, good. So let us know what else we need to do. As far as following you, is there anything new coming out? I know you said you're going to be working on doing some live performances. Anything set in stone yet?
Yeah, nothing set in stone yet, but we'll start with new shows in the Middle Tennessee area in May. Um, just been kind of spending the winter trying to write. I've got some new songs, so eager to get back with the band and start kind of fleshing those out, and hopefully have some new music out, by the end of the year.
Cool, cool. Now I have a question about studio. Do you have your own studio, or you have to actually pay for time?
I I do not. Yeah, I used a place called the Bomb Shelter Studio in Nashville.
Mm.
So yeah, I've made 3 records, and I've always gone to a studio for those.
Now, have the prices of recording gone up? You don't have to tell me the price, but has it gone up within the last couple years?
I think not dramatically. I mean, but also I've used 2 different studios, and both studios I kind of still use a lot of like analog equipment. They kind of try to set it
Mm.
up like people used to make records.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's kind of a niche type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were very reasonable. And that had been the first time I've been in the studio for 5 or 6 years. So at least in this case, I would say it certainly was not. Prices have not gone crazy, but if you go to a fancy country music studio in Nashville, then I'm sure it's probably outrageous.
Now, you have any famous people from your area, or
Oh yeah, yeah. There's most most people in country music are here. A lot of a lot of celebrities and business people migrate here. I guess primarily because there's no sales tax. So
have
there's
you
there's a lot
have you bumped into anybody?
of. Let's see. I worked at a a mall about 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked at a sporting goods store, and I sold a football to John Prine, who's a folk country songwriter, one of my favorite songwriters. So a lot of people probably wouldn't know who he is. He could probably just walk around Nashville, and most people wouldn't know. But to me, it was like, like a real celebrity. So I was excited about that. But I can't really think of anybody else. You got to go to like the fancy malls and stuff to see, the football players and the country music stars usually.
Wow, that's craziness. Well, if you can meet somebody famous, who would it be?
First thing that comes to mind, because I know we mentioned this last time, it might be Lauren Hill.
That is so bizarre. Like I, all the country mecca that you're in, like it's so funny that you want to meet Lauren Hill.
Yeah, it's
So
yeah, I would say yes. She's certainly one of the most interesting people that I could think of, and I would love to talk to for a minute.
I agree. Definitely love Lauren Hill. Okay. All right. Well, looks like I picked your brain enough for this evening. I definitely do appreciate you coming on. The conversation is always great. I feel like we really did some true inspiration tonight, and hopefully we help somebody in a roundabout way.
Absolutely, yeah. I loved it. Really enjoyed speaking with you again.
Yes. Good luck on the project, and I'll be seeing you on social media, I'm sure.
All right, that
Very
sounds
good.
good. Yeah, I
All
will
right.
see you soon.
Take care. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Very special shout out to Mr. Moraz Beats from France. You're up early this morning. Are you gonna stay up, or you got to go to work, or how's that working? Were you up making some music? So yes, that was Mr. Ian West, all the way from Tennessee. Amazing individual. Love speaking to him. So, if you would like to support the 401 podcast or Reading Between the Wines, go ahead and click that link above all of my social media platforms. And you can purchase my book, My Inspiration, Volume 1.5, The Liberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. If you purchase the book, it will help support the 401 podcast and Reading Between the Wines. And of course, I have to thank my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give you all the 411 podcast one more time in life. This was real amazing tonight. I appreciate all of the love and support, the people out there who are hanging out there with me tonight. This has been real amazing. And again, if you want to support, please like, comment, share, tag your friends, let them know what's going on. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, D Live, and Twitch, all at Laren Gaines. Thank you so much, everybody. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, Reading Between the Wines. So I'll see y'all tomorrow at 8. Other than that, every other night, I'm here at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, giving y'all the 411. Moraz Beat says I was on a late meeting before I jumped in. That's what's up. Well, I guess you gonna just really. Yeah, I see that. So all right, y'all. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here for Reading Between the Wines. Grab your wine, grab your bottle, come on in. We're gonna get this good book right from a good author. Reading Between the Wines every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Utopia, thank you for joining. Everybody on TikTok, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Facebook people, if you're out there, I want to say thank you so much. Take care. Have a good night.